Right, let's bring your attention to this now. The Public Enterprises Department says it's committed to the business rescue process that will see the establishment of a new South African Airways. The department's Director General, Kgathatso Tlhakudi, has promised a new national carrier that will be completely different to its predecessor and will not be bailed out by government. The new business model is premised on a strategic equity partnership, we're told, with a strong transformation agenda to promote the employment of more black pilots. For more on this now, let's bring in the DG himself, Kgathatso Tlhakudi, joining us now via our video link. Dr. Tlhakudi, thanks very much for always making time for us on the AM report. Perhaps let's start with the more obvious questions and get those out of the way. How much of this needed 10.4 billion rand for the business rescue process has finally been secured and guaranteed by government?
Yeah, the government has obviously committed itself to providing the full 10.5 that is required in this calendar year. Ayanda, what we have said a couple of weeks ago is what is needed is to provide an interim facility so that we can align with government disbursement processes. And obviously, the sooner we get the airline up in the air, the better, in order to protect its market share and also to ensure that the economic activity around the airline, which has been obviously brought to a halt up to now, is resumed. So we are almost there. That's what I can say to you.
So you're not able to give us figures? What does almost there mean? Is that 50%, 75%, 90% of the 10.5 billion rand needed?
Yeah, now I said the government is committed to providing the full amount, the 10.5 billion rands. What we are working on now is an interim facility, and we're quite confident that we'll be able to secure the full amount. The processes are proceeding quite well, I must say. And unfortunately, I cannot share more than that. Thank you.
Okay. You also saying, I think you've written an op-ed about, this new airline and how it's likely to work. The plan, the ambition is to come up with an airline that will never actually even need a bailout from the state. If somebody's watching this from home and they're incredibly skeptical about A, how feasible this is, and B, how sustainable it is, what would your, words of assurance be? Why should we believe that an alternative to SAA won't be as much of a burden as SAA in its current form has been to the fiscus?
Well, the process that we are undertaking currently with the transactional advisor is to ensure that we bring in a very capable operator as a strategic equity partner into this airline. We're expecting them to take up management control of the business. We expect them to place the best people that we can find collectively in the running of the business. And in the arrangements that we are seeking to arrive at with the strategic partners, to ensure that the risk profile of the business changes from where it is currently, where government basically carries all the risk of poor performance, if I may put it that way, at the airline. But we believe that we have already built up a very solid base going forward to ensure that this airline does succeed. What we have done here, Ayanda, is different from past iterations of turning around this business. We have really cut deep to ensure, if I may put it that way, that the fat that was there in the business is taken out. And unfortunately, we also have an opportunity to bring in really a new management team into the business. We have looked at the business at a group level. We have looked at the individual entities at subsidiary and divisional level to arrive at what we believe to be a very good solution for the airline. And as we have put it very clearly in that op-ed, the success of SAA is very critical for not only the airline itself, but for the plans, for instance, that Ekurhuleni have put in place in terms of the aerotropolis. And that's learning from other experiences in other parts of the world, Amsterdam, Fort Worth in the US, and even O'Hare Airport in Chicago. They have shown that you can really build a very good economy around an airport and create opportunities for our people. And that's what we are seeking to achieve And the same argument we could make with regard to the maintenance, repair, and overhaul facilities centered around SAA Technical. We are an aviation mega city as Johannesburg around OR Tambo. We deserve to have a world-class MRO facility in that space, and believe that there's a lot of economic activities that can be supported from that. So that's why we must succeed, and that's why we have developed a plan that we believe will ensure that this is a successful venture.
Right, and part of that plan entails a transformation agenda, so to speak. Tell us a bit more about that. I mean, what requirements will there be for this new equity partner to see through this transformation agenda and ensure its success?
Well, we are not only seeking a commercially capable entity, we are also seeking an entity that will understand the unique challenges that we have in South Africa by virtue of the past that we have emerged from. The one thing that we can admit to quite upfront is that we did not do enough in terms of ensuring that the pilot corps at SAA are transformed. We had what I'll call a pre-new dispensation agreement from 1988 that constrained a lot of management teams that we've had at SAA over the years. We are quite determined to ensure that is set aside, and have made our intentions very clear with the Pilots Association there. In order to ensure that the opportunity to fly these magnificent machines is not limited to a portion of our society, but every child, regardless of their background, is able to get into that cockpit. And of course, we are said that the one entity that was that did very well in terms of ensuring that pipeline of pilots is Express got into the challenges that it did. So we intend to ensure that there is a program at SAA that shall ensure that the pilots' numbers are reflective of our people in this country.
Right.
And it does not stop there. We also have to ensure some of us, or some of the people who are not intricately involved with aviation would not know the importance of a function like revenue management in an airline. But the fact that that function has remained exclusive up to now is something that we intend to address very aggressively. And that's a kind of partner that we are looking for, and we believe that we can achieve that. Other countries around the world have brought in strategic partners into their OEMs and made it very clear what their strategic objectives are as a country in terms of either transformation or economic development. And those partners have embraced that agenda. So we are quite confident that we'll be able to arrive at the same end.
Right. And are you able to share with us who's been shortlisted? I mean, which partners are you looking forward to working with, for lack of a better term, as you chart this way forward to this new airline?
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, I can't give you the names, but what I can tell you today is that we have two very capable international partners that have come to the fore with regard to the airline group. There is a local consortium as well that has made itself available for consideration. Those are basically what I'll call the shortlisted SCPs that we have currently. We still have to take those names obviously through the processes internally, and also the transaction advisors obviously doing their work in terms of ensuring that all the requirements that we have put before them, which amongst them we have put, obviously must have the funding capacity that is required. They must align to the national interest in this country. They must have proper strategic fit with the airline. Those qualities, amongst others, are adhered to. We have also looked at partnerships at SAA technical level. There are two very strong entities that have come to the fore. The one is an international entity which is in that space, in the maintenance, repair, and overhaul space. We also have a very strong local technical group that has also come to the fore, that is involved in similar industries that have expressed interest. We have also had a process that has been running with Airshares for quite a while. There is a bidder that has made a strong case. Originally, we had three entities in the running. We have one that has come to the fore, And we hope to see how that will work itself out. And also with the cargo business, we have two very strong entities that have expressed interest. One of them is an international group, and we also have a local entity that has come to the fore. So that Ayanda is important to share, because unfortunately there's been a narrative in one of the papers where that there is any interest of these entities has been shot down, to say no one will be interested in this group. I think people are going to be very surprised to hear, actually, once we would be the preferred partners going forward, that there's actually some very good businesses have come to the fore to express their interest and put in bids.
Okay. And hopefully once you're able to share those names, you'll be able to tell us first here on the AM report. Sadly, out of time, I was hoping to ask you about the salaries at SA Express, a question from one of our viewers. Very quickly, in about 10 seconds or so, any headway being made in at least being able to ensure that those who haven't had their salaries paid will finally receive their pay?
Yeah, it's work that is ongoing. Unfortunately, there are legal hurdles, including the fact that normally this liability would lie with the entity itself, not with the shareholder. That's how our law is written. And with it being in liquidation, it means that there are constraints in terms of paying out. But we're working through that. And as you know, the HRC, the Human Rights Commission, is also involved in this particular. So we're quite confident we'll get an answer. It's a sad case, I must say, Ayanda, and want to see it through, because this is an entity that had a lot of potential if it was not for the corruption that went on in that business. Thank you.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks very much for coming on and giving us the update as far as you can. Kgathatso Tlhakudi is the Director General of the Public Enterprises Department. Appreciate your time indeed.